Alright, so for anybody that cares, quick update. About a week ago, got the valve seals on, got the valve pack 1219, pack 1218 racing springs in the heads, retainers, top hats, blah 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 blah. Got the heads all assembled. So they're on. Used, let's see if I still got the box. This is what I use for head gaskets. 26 192 PT Perma Torque Felpro MLS gasket. Get them at your local O'Reilly. I just looked them up for the year the motor was, 03 LQ4. Yeah. So came out pretty good. A friend of mine, we got a deal going, so he dropped off his single plane Victor Jr. Like I said, this is going to be NITROUS LQ4 turbo 350 stall converter. You know, the usual conjunction to make the thing maybe pop front tire, maybe off the ground. But anyways, quick review on these PQY. These are PQY brand head studs. Figure I'd do a quick review on them. They all went in there good. I did hand tight. I chased all my threads in my block. Hand tight on all the studs. Slid the gaskets on. Make sure when you're sliding the gaskets on, there's a label that says front. You know, the word front is facing outward and it's facing towards the front of the motor. Make sure your head gasket is facing the correct direction. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that do it wrong. Anyways, slid the head gasket on, slid the head on. Procedure I did, pretty much similar to ARP's dialogue in their instructions for LS stuff. You do, so like I said, I did hand tight, nice and snug, chase my threads hand tight on the studs. And then I did 25 first pass, 50 second pass. I did 25, 50, 65 last pass. Okay, you do all the big ones, and then you actually go here, 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 here on the little guys, those little buggers down there. So you do those last, actually, per ARP. These PQYs, they don't come with instructions or anything. I've heard horror stories about them, but I heard there's really more good reviews than there's bad on these. Like I said, these are 9703. So it's got a short stud, and then the rest are long. You can actually kind of see it in the block surface here, where the stud, right here you can anyway. See how this boss only stops here, then this boss goes way down there. So this is an early motor with long studs. 03. So, and it's got the 3rd gen rods. It doesn't have the big beefy rods, but that's okay. It'll be fine. The biggest thing is I ordered ARPs. Real quick, I'll show you. So I know my phone does not like the cold. I bought ARP's Ultra Torque. I forget what ounces that is. I think it's a 1.69 ounce little squeeze tube. Bought that off Amazon along with my studs. Ordered them at the same time. They came like 3 days later, which is mint. Basically, what you want to do is, man, I wish I had some of these out so I could show you. Make sure the chamfered side of the washer, okay? Chamfered means not a square edge, a round edge, right? Make sure that the chamfered edge is facing up. The flat edge that's a square edge on the washer is facing down, and you do not want any thread lubricant or anything between the cylinder head and the washer, okay? So the only lube you want to put is on the threads, and you want to put it at the bottom of the nut. So it's allowed to touch between the nut and the washer and the threads, but it's not allowed to touch from the head to the washer, to the bottom of the washer, because you want it to clamp. You don't want it to spin. I guess they don't clamp correctly if they spin like that. So anyways, make sure you do that. I said grease the threads good, grease the bottom of the nut good, get them on there all hand tight, and then do your 3 passes, and then do the little guys last. I had no problems. People say they snap in the block. People say some of them don't show up from shipping with threads on them at all, like threads cut into the stud. I've heard all kinds of stuff, but for $55, and I probably read 40 good reviews and like 3 bad reviews. So I'm like, you know what? And you just got to make sure. I actually almost ordered the ones that were not labeled PQY. Just make sure they're PQY racing or whatever. I wouldn't order the no-name brand. That's even scarier. At least the PQY ones, I've seen people have good experience with them. So just make sure you get that brand. They came in this box. PQY. Like I said, this is early 9703 made in China. That's what it came in. Came in some baggies. Pretty well organized. I'm happy with them. Like I said, I went to 65 foot-pounds. ARP recommends with their studs 70, but I'm like, I'm scared. I go to church. Ice Cube, you guys know what I'm saying. So I just did 65. Actually, a lot of guys that reuse head bolts actually go to 60 or 65 on their final pass when they use head bolts. So I'm like, what's it going to hurt if I went 65 on studs? It's going to clamp better than a head bolt. And real quick, the review, so I watched a video. These were somebody put it on like a hydraulic ram that basically stretched bolts. And they had these on here. These actually, under pressure, the hydraulic ram actually pulled it apart. And it would break the thing and shear it. These actually didn't, so it's the same thing as your cylinder head lifting under pressure. These stretched and lifted per se less than a head. I have head bolts over here than these. I have these, but I was like, I don't want to use them. I use one for a thread chaser like everybody does. So they actually stretch less than a used head bolt, or they even stretch less than a new head bolt. So I'm like, yeah, you could reuse the head bolts, yeah, whatever, but you have less chance of your cylinder head lifting. Granted, obviously your tune-up depends on, the detonation and pressure, it all depends on your tune-up. So obviously make sure you get a good tune-up in your motor so you don't destroy it. But otherwise, I just figured for $55, why not? They had a better, like I said, they had less stretch than used in new OEM bolts. And I was not paying $350 to $400 for ARP genuine studs. It just wasn't happening. It's a stock bottom end. I reused the bearings. I had to put cam bearings in the motor because I pulled the cam to put an SS2 cam in it. And I pulled the bearings out with it. So that sucked. So I had to do that. I had to buy the Summit tool. It's over there. It was a mess. It was a big mess. So I reused the bearings. I checked them all. I got my rings for nitrous or boost, whatever. Loosened the ring gap up so they don't bind and break the ring lands. So you can really beat on this motor. But like I said, Gen 3, LQ4, small rods, whatever. Don't care. Nitrous, carburetor. It's going to be a torque monster. I took 10,000 off the heads, the machine shop. I didn't use, everybody uses copper spray, but because I had the heads decked, I was like, probably don't need copper spray because it's going to be a pretty good clamp, pretty good even clamp. So we're going to run it with the MLS Permatorques and see what happens. Yeah, man, we're rolling on this thing. I'm trying to get some basic videos up for you guys for who cares to follow along, But yeah, I mean, I did a bunch of stuff this motor, new rear main, plate and gasket, oil pan gasket, low sump pan, painted the block. It looks like crap. Actually, a piece flaked off already right here. But yeah, so I got the MSD 6014 box over there. I got the Victor Jr. on here. I got a 670 Street Avenger, but it's vacuum secondaries, which I hate. So we might just find another carburetor for it down the road. But we're chugging. Next step, I'm going to bring my valve train stuff to my day job, go to the parts washer, my Safety Clean parts washer, and we're gonna wash off the rockers and the rocker girdle, whatever you call it, that holds all the rockers. I'm gonna clean all that up because they're disgusting. They've been sitting on that shelf over there forever. Clean all that stuff up. I only got 8 push rods. I don't even know where the hell the rest of them went. They're in there. There's 8 of them there. I have no idea where the other ones went. I disassembled this motor like a year and a half ago. So I'm like, I don't know where the hell anything is for this thing, which is kind of irritating, but that's the only thing I'm missing so far is push rods. I have the valve covers. Obviously, I have the rockers, as you saw. So it's going to be a complete motor. Next thing is we're going to pop this baby off, tip the motor. We're going to prime the oil pump. We'll throw a starter on it, put a flex plate on it, and we're going to try to get some oil pressure in this thing, guys. I'm going to pop this off. We'll do a conversion fitting for a for a manual gauge, because it's obviously electronic pressure. So I'm going to do that. We're going to crank it over, let it cycle, do its thing, see if it's got oil pressure. Once we have oil pressure, we get everything primed. Like I said, it's got new cam bearing, it's got lube all throughout the motor. I used assembly lube when I threw it back together, so it should roll over nice and easy, not damage anything. But I really want to crank it dry, with not trying to start it with a carb or anything. Get oil pressure in it before I even think about saying, hey, let's fire it on the stand. I'll probably fire it on the stand so I know it doesn't make any weird noises. I have some short length headers over there I could throw on it just to hear it run. You let it idle. I'll probably fill the 670 Street Avenger up with, fill the bowls up and just let it run for a minute. No coolant, and just kind of make sure she's kind of sound. I have confidence. I reuse the lifters. That's kind of sketchy, but I did 10 thou off the heads, so I'm kind of worried about lifter preload. And now I have more preload on the lifters because I took 10 thou off the heads. Not a big deal, but just one of those things you think about. But yep, quick update. LQ4 carburetor, nitrous, 3,000 pound car. Should be a blast. So I'll see you guys next time.